Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar, DevOps at Scale, how Datadog is using AWS and PagerDuty to keep pace with growth and improve incident resolution. My name is Thomas Robinson, Solutions Architect at AWS. I'll be your speaker and moderator for today's webinar. I'll be joined by Eric Sigler of PagerDuty and Chris Hoy of Datadog. To start, we'll review DevOps and how the AWS cloud enables that transformation. As organizations begin to focus more and more on technology, they find traditional development models slow and burdensome. They need to be able to innovate and get to the market quickly, as well as reacting faster to customer feedback and iterate on their existing portfolio. IT needs to be able to keep up with this, provisioning new resources as development requires it. Operations also needs to be able to relay customer experience back into development groups to produce useful enhancements. DevOps helps enable this by changing the structure of development teams, making them more agile and giving them both the power and the responsibility of owning their product from planning and design to operations and optimization. Supported by tooling and automation, they can spend more time focused on improving their users' experience rapidly while reducing the amount of time they spend on operational overhead. Instead of a development team owning a large number of products across an entire organization, they streamline their efforts to focus on a small set of objectives and take ownership of positive outcomes for their business and their customers. AWS enables DevOps by providing on-demand resources and tooling that fits DevOps practices. To be able to support DevOps, teams have to change the way they deploy infrastructure. They need to design loosely coupled applications, and they need to be able to understand how their applications behave. In addition to that, they need to be able to make incremental changes continuously rather than doing large quarterly releases. Doing multiple updates daily is a very common practice you see in DevOps. By replacing lengthy infrastructure provisioning requests with on-demand resources, AWS changes the way development teams deploy their applications. They can now manage their infrastructure in the same way they code, with standardized, repeatable, version-controlled stacks. Using CloudFormation, teams can define their network, storage, compute, and other AWS resources as code alongside their applications. And when failures occur, automation can be used to restore the system to a known good state. This reduces the need for DevOps teams to manually intervene and allows them to focus more on their end product. AWS has a number of solutions focused on microservices, a change in development from large monolithic applications to smaller, loosely coupled APIs. By adopting microservices, developers reduce the blast radius from changes in their applications, allowing them to make those changes more freely. Services become smaller and more focused, and the infrastructure used for them can be tuned and scaled to meet that application's unique requirements. From elastic container service for managing Docker containers to a fully serverless approach using Lambda and API Gateway, AWS provides scalable solutions for your shift towards microservices. DevOps teams are also responsible for the development cycle of their applications, the performance of those applications and the infrastructure, as well as security and compliance posture. AWS provides the logging and monitoring information a DevOps team needs to understand relevant metrics using CloudWatch and CloudWatch logs. We also provide security and compliance logs to monitor changes through AWS CloudTrail and AWS Config. Using these sources of information, developers can have a full view of their environment and respond to anything going on. Tooling to manage the end-to-end lifecycle of code deployments enables a DevOps team to quickly get their ideas in front of their customers. Our developer tools are designed to help take your code through your development pipeline from design to deployment. This shift from a few releases per quarter to many releases per day allows development teams to improve their applications faster. In review, AWS provides organizations the infrastructure and the tools to migrate towards DevOps in an easy-to-use, pay-as-you-go model. Along with AWS native tools, there are tens of thousands of partner solutions built on AWS which can help in your DevOps transformations. One critical area is how your DevOps teams will respond and manage incidents and alerts. I'll hand over to Eric Sigler, Head of DevOps at PagerDuty, to talk more about how their platform can help.
Thanks, Thomas. Howdy, everyone. My name is Eric Sigler, and I'm the head of DevOps here at PagerDuty. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about PagerDuty and about how we help AWS customers like Datadog with incident resolution. As a little bit of background about PagerDuty, we're a cloud-based incident resolution platform originally founded in 2009 in San Francisco. And now with offices all over the world, we have over 200,000 users across more than 9,000 organizations. Over half of the Fortune 100 trust us to help them with incident resolution across a wide variety of infrastructure. Customers such as Datadog, Airbnb, Slack, IBM, and many more rely on PagerDuty. And that's because PagerDuty is able to help manage the complexity of incident resolution. We take in events from a wide variety of sources, such as deployment tools, monitoring tools such as Datadog or AWS's CloudWatch, ticketing tools such as ServiceNow or Remedy, and other information. These events are processed by PagerDuty and, when appropriate, turned into incidents that engage various teams within your organization through scheduling and escalation policies. The overall effect of PagerDuty is to get the right person with the right context working on the right problem. When PagerDuty first started out, we focused on ensuring reliable notifications and mobilizing teams. Operating our service out of 3 different geographically redundant regions with over 18 different telephony and SMS providers to ensure global coverage, constantly monitoring delivery of notifications end to end, we're able to provide a high level of service reliability. We know we need to be at our best when your organization depends on us. Over time, we've learned best practices from the industry and our customers, and then built those best practices into capabilities across the entire incident lifecycle. We provide a large number of capabilities now to triage and assess if an event is actually an incident, how urgent it is, and how related it might be to other events or incidents within your infrastructure. Once you triage the incident and mobilize the right experts within your organization, we provide tooling such as ChatOps capabilities with Slack and HipChat to let everyone collaborate together to diagnose and solve the problem. Finally, once the incident is resolved, it's not done just yet. We provide the ability to create and distribute postmortems or learning reviews to incorporate feedback from an incident back into your organization to avoid future occurrences. And we found that PagerDuty can dramatically help organizations improve their operational efficiency and their overall service reliability by enabling individual developers to be more directly involved in the services they operate and incorporating the feedback from those services faster. Everyone in an organization and their customers can benefit. Even if you're early on in your DevOps journey, PagerDuty enables organizations to handle that transition easier and more worry-free. Because PagerDuty helps enable teams to spend less time worrying about operating their services and more time focusing on creating value for their customers. And through customer case studies, we've confirmed these sorts of discoveries. We've seen customers such as Picnic achieve over a 500% improvement in their mean time to recovery, and customers such as Jefferson go to having 100% on-time delivery of features. For AWS customers, we found 3 common ways they can get the most out of PagerDuty. I'll go over each one of these use cases briefly. Starting off, of course, is by using PagerDuty to improve your response workflows and incident orchestration. You can leverage PagerDuty to integrate alerting tools from tools such as AWS's CloudWatch into schedules and escalation policies, including making sure to update external ticketing systems so that all of the appropriate teams have the right level of visibility. And by enabling teams to quickly see issues arise via ChatOps, incidents can be responded to more quickly and effectively. A second use case for AWS and PagerDuty is to operationalize your AWS environments by understanding the health of your evolving IT infrastructure with actionable time series visualizations of correlated events. The third use case is that whether you are migrating all of your workloads to AWS or transitioning just a few monolithic applications to microservices, transitioning from legacy on-prem to AWS cloud, PagerDuty can provide operations and security teams with visibility into the status and KPIs of each infrastructure and application tier from a single console. Let's take a quick look into some of what you might see in PagerDuty. This is one of the overview screens we show on-call engineers when they first log in. Consider it as a 1,000-foot view. It has a list of what alarms have been raised recently, both triggered and resolved, what incidents they're associated with, a quick summary of what the event is, what services it impacts, priorities, and so on. Looking into an individual incident, you can see kind of the 100-foot view. This is where incident responders will spend a lot of their time assessing, coordinating, and resolving incidents. We make sure to put the correct amount of context when possible such as showing graphs from Datadog alerts, who's assigned, what priority, and so on. Of course, sometimes responders or others within an organization need to take a wider view. We provide the operations command console for this, enabling that 10,000-foot view to see the overall health of all of your services. This includes seeing major or minor incidents you're investigating, the health of all of your services, and the ability to quickly visually assess patterns across events in your infrastructure. Patterns such as that one service that's too noisy, causing false alarms and teams to become fatigued, or if the blast radius of a single event may be impacting multiple services. Let's take a moment and step into a specific incident. At first, we can see from this dashboard, there's several triggered alerts across multiple services. But some of these alerts really involve the same incident. So let's merge them together so that one incident has all the context. We select the individual incidents that should be merged, and then go ahead and click on the Merge Incidents button. A dialog comes up, and PagerDuty pre-populates the incident with what we think is most relevant. You can either keep the existing details or give the incident a new name to reflect the overall issue. Then we click Merge Incidents. And now we have a single incident with the entire alerting history and context behind both prior incidents merged in. Let's take a look at another incident. Now, in this incident, we can see that it's been triggered and it's been assigned to an engineer. In this case, though, it's a high urgency incident, so maybe we should pull in a few more people to help out. By switching over to the Response tab, on-call engineers can take notes and keep a log of what's been done in the incident so far. Additionally, they can add more responders to the incident. Let's bring in a few more folks. We can bring in responders by team or by escalation policy, for example, so that on-call engineers don't have to remember, what's that one person who knows that one thing about that one network problem? You can just engage the network on-call, and PagerDuty figures out the right person. Other times, you might know exactly who it is that you need to be engaged, in which case we also allow responders to be directly added by name. Because team members always keep their PagerDuty contact information up to date, this tends to be the most accurate directory in any one company. And once you've selected who you want to add on as a responder, you can add additional short messages to give them context prior to them joining. PagerDuty has been built from the ground up to work with existing infrastructure and services within organizations. So you can put in existing phone bridges or conferencing systems, and we'll push that information out to the responders when they're engaged. If you need multiple collaboration areas, say for responding to multiple incidents, it's as simple as picking from a pre-populated pull-down menu. And now that we've added the responders, we can see them acknowledge or escalate the issue because they're contacted via the same PagerDuty communication method. Sometimes, especially when you're involved in a major incident response, you may need to keep additional stakeholders aware of the issue and its progress towards resolution. So PagerDuty provides a stakeholder update notification feature. Jumping back into our previous incident, let's quickly add someone from the executive staff so that they're kept in the loop while we solve the problem. And just like with responder notification, we can pick individuals or whole teams to keep up to date and subscribe to updates. Now that we've got a subscriber, we can add in a note and notify everyone at the same time. Stakeholders are notified via email or other appropriate contact methods, including a link to a dashboard where they can see the progress and status updates of an incident, but won't impact responders working on the actual incident. Once an incident is mitigated or resolved, there's still many things to be learned from it. PagerDuty provides advanced analytics so that service owners can understand the health of their services. This helps service owners understand where to prioritize their efforts and where the greatest return on investment of that effort will be in decreased mean time to response. as well as team health and overall team coverage levels and impact from operational work required by their services. And you're able to dive into the details on which team members might be experiencing on-call fatigue, which is crucial for retaining them. These analytics work across organizations of any size, from one service to thousands, and from one team member to tens of thousands of engineers. Modern infrastructure is complex, and responding to and resolving incidents is equally as complex. PagerDuty helps organizations at any level of maturity, at any point along their DevOps journey, improve their own reliability and deliver amazing customer experiences. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Chris Hoey, Lead Site Reliability Engineer at Datadog.
Thanks, Eric. As a quick introduction, my name is Chris Hoey, and I currently lead the SRE team at Datadog. Having over 15 years of experience running operations at various levels, I've had the fortune to be involved with companies from a handful of employees in the startup stages to large organizations with over 800 people. I've been at Datadog for over 2 years. However, I have worked directly with the co-founders at other jobs and have had the pleasure to use the Datadog in the early alpha stages. This has allowed me to see some of the challenges Datadog faced in the early days, as well as the current day, where Datadog has grown in every sense, be it customers, features, employees, and especially its operational footprint. Before I go into detail about some of the challenges Datadog faces and how we leverage both AWS and PagerDuty to solve them, let me give you a quick overview of the product. Datadog is a SaaS-based infrastructure and application monitoring product. We have an open source agent with over 200 integrations and a thriving community to keep that growing. We collect time series data for both metrics and events, as well as provide distributed application tracing, commonly known as APM. Currently, we process trillions of data points per day, and the growth is continuing at a rapid pace. Along with ingesting this data, we provide intelligent and actionable alerts, as well as insightful dashboards that help teams have meaningful discussions and interactions with their operations data. To start off our discussion, I would like to highlight the challenges Datadog has faced during its rapid growth from startup to leader in our field, as they are not unique and they are often challenges felt across many organizations. One of the first challenges a company faces is balancing the effort in building the initial team, building the first product features, and eventually getting it stable enough to share with customers. It is at this point where you have to support the product outside of the more forgiving friends and family, and thus start inspiring confidence becomes critical. This forces your small team to figure out who's going to be on call, how to manage on-call schedules, how are alert notifications going to make it from your products and monitoring tools out to the actual people on call? How and when do you escalate alerts, as well as what is your overall incident management process going to look like? Once your product gets traction, you will likely start breaking things apart into smaller services and create new ones to cover new functionality, all while growing your team to have more people in the on-call rotation. This increases the number of things that are likely to alert and how scheduling on-call rotations works, as well as how your incident management process happens. It is not just about building and scaling the product. You have to build and refine the process and culture of running incident management as your company grows. Letting this fall away from you can burn customers and takes a toll on your team. As things continue to grow, knowledge of how to run the operations behind it will evolve and decentralize. The on-call teams transition away from being comprised of founders and senior engineers towards a focus of pushing out responsibility to product teams, getting even more people in the on-call rotation. This transition can and often leads to alert fatigue as the volume of alerts increases, the historical thresholds chosen become unclear, and routing alerts to correct teams while telling them what action to take, if any at all, becomes challenging. Somehow you need to keep alerts relevant and actionable. As company growth continues, the global market share becomes increasingly important. This adds pressure to your on-call team to be a globally supported 24/7 shop with minimum downtime. It forces you to consider things like having a dedicated or SRE team and being able to bring the on-call rotation into a follow-the-sun model to sustain growth. This comes at the cost of ever more challenges in coordinating incident management, alert routing, and on-call schedule coverage. To solve these challenges, Datadog has always kept a strong focus on solid APIs, and we expect this from the third parties we interact with. To help solve these growing challenges, Datadog uses AWS in a multitude of ways. We use the breadth of APIs to allow us to build custom tooling to meet our specific needs, especially as these requirements are constantly evolving. AWS makes it really easy to scale up and down as we need for capacity. Lastly, as a partner, we use AWS for integration dogfooding to test the various services customers might be running and make improvements in our integrations for a better experience. Some of the reasons Datadog chose AWS was Datadog was born in the cloud. This let us avoid the tangled mess of data center and equipment procurement challenges. The commitment required for experimenting was low, both in cost and effort. It lets us experience how things are for a large portion of customers. The flexibility of strong APIs lets us access a wide breadth of services, and starting a new project is always as simple as a few API calls away with minimal commitment to allow us to try lots of ideas fast. The reliability AWS provides is by being a leader in the industry, allows us to build a strong product and plan for predictable failure modes. The SLAs behind these services help with the confidence we need to run at this scale. And the scalability, as we grow, and we can leverage the seemingly infinite capacity to meet our needs. We're able to grow along with our customers while bringing on new ones with little effort. As Datadog grew, we needed to move from a small group of people who were on call in the early days to a broader set of people. As more teams were created, we needed to find ways to route alerts and push out responsibility to an increasing number of teams. This caused a shift of responsibility from founders to senior engineers and out to a broader on-call teams. As the product continued to grow, we needed to expand and start to bring in the concept of a dedicated SRE managed rotation for services while bringing the rotation into the follow-the-sun model. In order to be effective at spreading team coverage, we need powerful tools that allow routing alerts at a team-based level and letting them manage scheduling at a team level, performing distributed incident management, and most importantly, being able to use analytics to find pain points that might be specific to teams and how it fits in at a broader level. Here I'm showing how we use the team-based analytics in PagerDuty to find trends at a broad level, as well as how we use the PagerDuty integration in Datadog to talk at the individual alert level. Being able to easily move between the high-level view across teams while still being able to go down to the specific details of a specific alert is critical to operations at our scale. As part of bringing in the SRE managed services approach to our company, we needed to take our on-call into the follow-the-sun model of operations. In order to implement this, you have to coordinate schedules across different time zones and worry about how to transition from your core rotations to this new model. This is one area we are thankful PagerDuty just handles for us. The layering of schedules makes it easy to set up follow-the-sun schedules, and the escalation rules allows us to experiment and find the right patterns to use transitioning teams and services from one model to this new model. Throughout the company's growth, our teams have to constantly address alert fatigue, the problem of making sure that we are only paging people on urgent and actionable matters, while providing a way to deal with other issues that require attention. This is where PagerDuty's analytics and reporting lets us see both the big picture and finer details. By letting us branch out to high priority and low priority targets, we could let teams decide, is this urgent enough and immediately actionable, warranting waking someone up? Or maybe this should be lower priority to go into an email alias, Slack channel, or some ticketing system to address in business hours. A huge quality of life win for our on-call teams. In addition, data can be accessed within Datadog via the PagerDuty integration, and reporting we provide to allow teams to find problem spots for the services we are running. Datadog chose PagerDuty for its strong APIs, which was very easy to get us started, and let us focus on building a product and a team. It easily scales as teams, users, service, and customers grows. The APIs let us continue our desire to manage all infrastructure as code by setting up services and schedules through custom tools like things like Terraform. And APIs allow us to build custom analytics on top of the data provided. The extensive alerting and incident resolution lifecycle capabilities allow us to set up escalation rules that allows us to experiment and find the right patterns to use in transitioning teams and services from one model to new ones, allows us to be flexible and do high priority and low priority alerting, and easily alert services to specific teams. The robust monitoring analytics allows us to find patterns across high and lower levels of detail to help teams and identify parts of the product requiring improvement, while also allowing us to address alert fatigue. By using PagerDuty, Datadog has been able to efficiently scale operations from tens of engineers to hundreds of engineers, allowing us to focus on the product, our engineers, and most importantly, our customers. Improve productivity through custom alerts and escalation policies, reduces alert fatigue, and ensures a quality of life for our on-call teams. Continuously improving our customer experience by using the reports and analytics to find troublesome spots in our product to focus on. I would encourage you to take a look at the Datadog blog to learn more. An example of some relevant posts of interest for this webinar would be our Monitoring 101 series, which is a 3-part series on how to monitor your applications, making use of PagerDuty integrations in Datadog, as well as setting and monitoring SLAs for your services. Thanks, and now I would like to hand things over to Thomas for some questions and answers.
Thanks, Chris. We're now going to transition into our live Q&A. As a reminder, you'll be able to submit any written questions through the questions panel. In the event that we're not able to answer your question today, we'll follow up with everybody individually via email. So Eric, I'm going to start off with a couple of questions we have coming in for PagerDuty. First is a question about how pricing is done. How is PagerDuty priced?
That's a good question. So PagerDuty is currently priced per user for most of our features, but we also have different tiers and different capabilities. So I'd recommend that anyone who's interested can go to pagerduty.com to find out more.
Great. A geo-specific question has come through. Can you use PagerDuty in China to manage as a team in that location?
Yes. So we do have delivery of notifications throughout the world. And so we allow different notifications from SMS, phone, and both Android and Apple Push. So absolutely.
Great. Another question. Every time there's an incident, we need to create a ticket in ServiceNow. Does PagerDuty have that sort of integration?
Yep. We have a bidirectional integration with both ServiceNow Enterprise and ServiceNow Express. The bidirectional sync of incident workflows also provides automatic provisioning of PagerDuty users and escalation policies via the ServiceNow Express platform.
This one may be something for Chris and Eric. How did Datadog and PagerDuty integrate? Is there a specific agent that's installed in AWS instances?
So I can kind of speak to the PagerDuty side. So from Datadog, it's a very simple integration. It's a pull down. When you're setting up a service in PagerDuty, it's simply a pull down, and it gives you a little bit of information that you go to the Datadog side, provide Datadog with that information, and both sides set up and go. And then Chris should definitely talk about from the Datadog side how Datadog and AWS might integrate.
Sure, yes. Inside of Datadog, we have an integrations tab, and from the integrations tab, PagerDuty is one of the integrations, and what it'll ask for is an API key, and once you fill that, you're able to pull information about your on-call schedules as well as send the different rotations and notifications to PagerDuty and allow graphs to be shown in your PagerDuty application. So you'll get a notification with a graph of what's actually happening that's relevant.
Great, thanks guys. A question about, can you build your own integration on top of PagerDuty?
Absolutely. So PagerDuty provides a large number of APIs and platforms. So we provide both event ingestion APIs as well as REST APIs to most of the primitives within our infrastructure, as well as our reporting and analytics data.
Great. See a question about AWS CloudWatch and it having SNS email notification. How's that different from PagerDuty?
Sorry, could you say that question once more?
Just the difference in between AWS CloudWatch and SNS notifications and the difference between that and PagerDuty.
Certainly. So kind of one of the things is AWS CloudWatch is really, really great, and SNS notifications are really great for kind of transporting information from one place to another. PagerDuty provides kind of a little bit beyond just telling you something. So for example, the acknowledgement of getting an incident lets other people know. That's the sort of thing that you can't necessarily build. You would have to build more on top of SNS. So we, I guess, basically provide a lot of additional value beyond simply waking you up at 3 a.m.
As a cloud-focused solution, can PagerDuty and Datadog integrate incident management activities in a hybrid environment, including on-prem, private cloud, and public cloud environments?
Yep, absolutely. So from PagerDuty's perspective, we try to be very agnostic in terms of the events and the information coming in. We want to make sure that you're basically sitting there and you're able to see the entirety of your infrastructure. So we work across, and this kind of also goes to the API question earlier, we ingest in information at almost any level. It can simply be raw email up to obviously a lot of our more advanced API-based integrations like with Datadog and AWS. We're able to basically work with whatever information that you can provide from any portion of your infrastructure, cloud, on-prem, or otherwise.
And from the Datadog side, it's the same approach. Even though we're primarily in the cloud, we're not limited to the cloud. The APIs are strong, allowing you to send data pretty much from anywhere.
Great, thanks guys. One question from a customer who's integrating PagerDuty and Datadog with their AWS infrastructure. They want to be able to pull documentation information and provide that as part of the description and the alert that's sent to their engineers. Is that possible?
Terribly sorry, my audio cut out there once more. Could you ask that question again?
Sure. Question about sending documentation information with the alert that's going to their engineers. Is that possible with PagerDuty and Datadog?
From the, definitely Chris can speak to the Datadog side because I'm pretty sure Datadog's got something around this. From the PagerDuty side, absolutely. We provide a couple of different places. Like I showed in my demo, per incident, engineers are able to basically add information, or obviously as events come in, they can bring in their own information payloads, which basically populate into that timeline. But services can also be equipped with a little bit of information, pointers to run books, documentation, or other information that's kind of useful overall when looking at that service. Chris?
Sure, and from the Datadog side of things, our notifications are pretty feature-rich and support Markdown. So you could actually go into depth and put a snippet of your runbook. You could actually link out to a wiki or something else, or have a really pretty flexible at what you put in that notification, and that data will actually show up in PagerDuty. So one of the things that we like to do for trying to deal with alert fatigue is putting a quick Google form. Was this alert actionable? Was it relevant? Did you know what to do? And that'll actually come through in PagerDuty, and people are able to right there in the app give feedback, and adjust the alert to make sure it's actionable.
Great. I've got a question that's probably relevant for AWS and the rest of us here as well. But question about how frequently logs are sent from AWS to PagerDuty and Datadog. And I can start that one off just noting that Datadog and PagerDuty both integrate with AWS CloudWatch, which provides minute-by-minute metrics from the instance. And just from using Datadog myself, I've also used instances to the agent in Datadog to push information to the Datadog API. And that's as granular as you want it to be. Eric and Chris, do you have anything to add there?
For me, from the PagerDuty side, I would say that at a very basic level, as soon as we get information from tools such as AWS, we're able to, kind of move that process along. So within a few moments, seconds or so, when we get something from AWS, we're able to go ahead and raise the alert.
And as noted, with Datadog, out of the box, the CloudWatch integrations are going to be at 1-minute intervals. But if you're using our agent, you could adjust that flexibility. And one thing to keep in mind is if you're going sub-minute and trying to do actionable alerting on sub-minute data, it gets very challenging. So it is possible, and some people do it, and it's for their use case, it makes sense. It's just something to consider.
Notice we've got a couple of questions about specific integrations coming through. Is there a good landing page for attendees to look at for identifying whether PagerDuty and Datadog integrate with the DevOps tooling that they have?
Definitely. From the PagerDuty side, it's pagerduty.com/integrations, and you can see the list of over 200. As well as, again, we always integrate with pretty much if you can send us a JSON blob or an email, we can parse it.
Similarly from Datadog, if you go to datadoghq.com, there's a link on the top for integrations, or the full URL, datadoghq.com/product/integrations. And there we will list over the 200 built-in integrations, as well as we have a GitHub repo that shows some of the things the open source community is doing, leveraging our open APIs.
Great, thanks guys. We're coming towards the end of the list of questions we have. If you have any more questions, please go ahead and get those in now so we can make sure to tackle those before we close out the webinar. One of the remaining ones, besides Datadog, what other companies are using the AWS and PagerDuty integration?
Let's see here, the AWS and PagerDuty integration, let's see here. I think it's actually, if I remember right, it is in our top 5 integrations among our customers. So customers like Expedia, Groupon, IBM, and Lonely Planet, and I believe Instagram are a few examples. And you can always check out pagerduty.com/customers to find out more about those use cases.
Great. That is the entirety of the questions that we've had come through. On that note, we're going to wrap up today's webinar. As a reminder, you'll receive an email within the next 2 or 3 days with a link to these slides on SlideShare and a recording of today's webinar. We want to thank you very much for attending. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.